tagline on that poster says, "You get the ending you deserve." What the did we do to deserve that? Welcome to Primetime Mitch, and today I'm going to give you a quick review of the recent release, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I was never a massive fan of this franchise to begin with, so maybe my opinion is a little bit jaded. Instead of doing a spoiler-free review and a spoiler review, I'm just going to give this a full rundown of the movie in quick review fashion. So there will be some spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie, please put this in the watch later list and come back and watch my review when you have seen the movie so we can compare notes. Like I said, I'm not a massive fan of this franchise. I liked the first one. I thought it was okay. I think it was inferior to Scream. I'm wearing a Scream shirt because I don't have an I Know What You Did Last Summer shirt. It's the nearest thing. I think it was inferior to Scream, but it was a decent attempt at a slasher, and it was a fun watch, and it's a nice one to put on every once in a while when you're in that mood. I didn't like the second movie. I thought when they took it away from the original location, it didn't feel like the same to me, so I wasn't as invested, and I didn't think the ending made any sense. They just basically rehashed the first one, but with less reasoning, and I can't even remember the third. I think I've seen it, but that tells you everything, really. So I didn't have high expectations for this. So usually that's a good thing, because the more you expect, the more you scrutinize, and a lot of the time, the less they deliver. So low expectations meant that anything could be a bonus, and that's always a more positive frame of mind to go into a movie, I think. You don't open yourself up to disappointment. By God, they did their best. Right from the off, this movie just didn't make sense to me. I get they're trying to freshen up the accident at the beginning. The first one, they run the guy over and they dispose of his body because they know they're in trouble because they've essentially killed him. In this one, they go for the angle where they're just dicking about in the road, drunk, high, whatever, and the car has to swerve out of the way and it goes over the cliff. And they try and save the guy in the car. They just can't stop it going over eventually, and he hits the bottom. What was stopping them phoning the police and saying, "We have come across this scene and there's a car down there, we're reporting it, please come and help"? No one would have known what they did in the road. I don't even think you can be convicted of a crime by just being in the road and somebody swerving out of your way. Yes, you've caused it, but I think in the eyes of the law, I don't think that that's actually a thing. But at the same time, this was an easy cover-up. They could have helped the police and gone, yeah, we were parked up looking at the fireworks, or even we've driven to the scene and we found this broken barrier. They've even said themselves that that corner was something like Reaper's Point or something like that. It's known for having accidents. So there was no need for the panic. It was a massive overreaction from the start. So I'm trying to shrug that off and just try and enjoy it, because you do try to suspend disbelief when something like that's bothering you, because you just want to enjoy it. You want the experience. It's not well written. I don't think the dialogue was particularly good throughout. There was a few decent jokes here and there. I think the character of Danica, Amy Horror was saying this to me actually, that she thought she was the most rounded character. They really sort of worked hard on establishing her traits and tropes, whether you like them or not. She could be quite irritating. There's one sort of more heartwarming scene where you don't think she's too bad. But if that's your best character in the movie, you've got a problem, because she's likely to irritate many. I thought the main character wasn't particularly inspiring. I don't think Jessie Wonder's performance was bad in any way. She just didn't really have anything about her that made me want to root for her too much. I think her getting off with the girl on the plane and stuff was randomly thrown in. I don't know why her character was given that. And that particular podcast girl who she gets with is a complete non-entity for me as a character. Every word she spoke was smoldered and so over the top and dramatic. Wasn't doing anything for me, that character. I was glad when she went. It was nice to see Jennifer Love Hewitt again, who's never looked better in my opinion. She looks like that mature but traumatized person. I think it was nice to see her, but again, she didn't really get much in this movie. Freddie Prinze Jr., Amy Horror, we did a little social media video and she said, that's what I want to see. I want to see Freddie Prinze Jr. return into that role.
I'm expecting lots of Freddie Prinze Jr.
He was okay throughout, although again, I don't think his dialogue was particularly well written. Some of the scenes in this movie are decent. I liked the hanging up of the son and his father. That was a great image. And for the record, Teddy did not deserve to go like that. He was my favourite character in this movie. I thought he was going to be an asshole at the start, and he sort of was, but then he develops over time into quite an intriguing character, which I would have liked to have seen treated better. I love the cameo from Sarah Michelle Gellar. That was probably the moment of the movie for me. It wasn't just the fact that she was there and we got to see her in that role again, but I thought it was a well-written scene as well. I think it had an element of real creepy, nightmarish feel to it. And I was impressed with that scene, and I thought, well, this might bring it back a little. And then we get to the finish. I'm just going to say it now. One of the dumbest finishes I've ever seen to a movie. Stevie, the girl who's sort of been on the outskirts of the friend group, she is then sort of revealed to be the fisherman all along. And I'm thinking, well, so certainly two of those kills I don't think she could have carried out. So she's probably got an accomplice. So I sort of worked that out straight away, unless it was ridiculous that she would do all of them, which would have been probably a worse ending. But Ray shoots her and she goes overboard. And to me, I thought he'd shot her in the head, but it could have been a blank, it could have been in the shoulder, I don't know. But she goes overboard. They later say, oh, by the way, she's alive. How do you know? Did you throw that in just because you couldn't think of a way of giving us that information in a more intelligent fashion? Obviously, you didn't shoot her in the head. Maybe it was a blank. But if it was and she fell overboard, she still had a lot of time to get back on board and help her accomplice out against two people. And her accomplice, to Amy's dismay, is Ray himself. Freddie Prinze Jr. has turned heel in this movie, and he has absolutely all reason for doing so. He's complaining about they erased us. They erased what happened to us. They pretend it never happened. He is running a bar now. He is still in the place. He doesn't have to be there. At least Julie had the presence of mind to at least get slightly out of town. Obviously not too slightly, because she gets there pretty bloody quick when she works it all out. His reasonings are empty and nowhere near enough for him to go on a murder spree, as he called it, which was such a poor line. I don't even think Stevie's reasons for doing what she did were good enough. She said her life was ruined, and it was repeated by Ray after it. They had ruined her life. She has a job in a bar. She has Ray there to help her and mentor. He'd done so much for her. She kept saying how much he'd done for her and how much he was protecting her. And then suddenly her life's ruined. It's one or the other. I wasn't buying any of that finish. It was so weak. There's no way in hell that Danica would have survived what happened to her, let alone float all the way to shore and then cough up water. How long she'd been out there for, I don't know. That wasn't believable. I didn't necessarily want to see her go, but certainly once the deed had been done, that was it for me. You can't just bring her back from the dead because you want a funny, heartwarming little scene between the two of them on the beach afterwards. It was horrendous. And then the post-credits scene has suggested that we're going to get another one, this time with Brandy involved like the second one, which doesn't really fill me with any excitement because I didn't like the second one anyway. Of course, Stevie's got out the water and she has immediately gone to work writing a new note and crossing her face out in a photograph and posting it to Julie. So that was pretty swift in a month to do that. Why she would have a problem with Brandy, I do not know. Again, that seems just forced. I just wasn't a fan of this. It didn't give me even a minimum of what I was expecting, and what I was expecting wasn't very high. I wouldn't recommend it, but at the same time, I always recommend a movie to be watched so you can talk about it. But as a spectacle, it did nothing for me. It had some slasher fun in there and some decent moments, but other than that, I didn't enjoy this one really at all, and was especially underwhelmed with how it finished. If I was to rank these movies, I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as the third if I have to rewatch that again, but it's certainly not touching the top spot. So guys, that's my review of I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. If you disagree or agree with me, I like to hear your opinions. Please drop them in the comments below. I would really appreciate any interaction and all your thoughts on this movie. Maybe I'm being too harsh, I don't know. Maybe there's things I haven't noticed that you noticed that maybe made more sense than I thought they did. Please let me know in the comments. I really appreciate it. Please hit that like button and that notification bell. Drop me a sub. I would really appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I love doing this and I can't wait for the next quick review. Hopefully it's better than this one, but either way, take it easy, guys.